Hello everybody, my name is Wilbur and welcome to episode 7 of the Geek'd Out Podcast, a podcast about video games. And as you can tell by today's episode, we are talking about the mighty Final Fantasy X, and I have probably the only guest to talk to you guys about it. She is the actual real life Yuna, believe it or not. It's Lainey Maree. How you going, lady?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm
That was
very
an awesome
good.
intro.
You are actually Yuna. Everyone go check out Twitch because I am actually not lying and it's kind of scary, the resemblance.
It's funny because it's not the first time I've heard it, and it's like that's like the biggest compliment I can get. And it's really cool because like I'll go into other friends' stream and it's like it's Lainey Yuna instead of Lady Yuna because it rhymes. I'm like, oh god, that's what my Twitch name should be,
Lainey
Lady
Yuna.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I remember the first time you did a cosplay, and we'll get into a bit of your cosplay later in the show. But I saw you dressed up as Yuna. I was like, wow, like actual Yuna. It was kind of scary, but it was awesome.
Oh, thank you. The thing is, like, because the cosplay came in like a huge like pack, and it did come with a wig. But so many people were saying, "Did you cut your hair? Did you cut your hair?" It's like, no, this
You
is
don't
fake.
need a wig, no.
That for a $15 wig, not bad. You
Not
can't
bad.
style it. Yeah, you can't style it because it's not real hair and it will damage it. But for what I got with the whole set, yeah, it's really good, and I have so much fun cosplaying as her, and just it really made me enjoy the game more because Yuna, she's my favorite character of all time.
Obviously.
From my Final Fantasy and favorite game of all time. It's like a, whole thing in one.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I love it so much.
So we are going to start the episode the way we mostly always do, with what we have been playing. So Lainey, please surprise everyone with what you've been playing this week.
Oh, I wonder what it could be. Well, Final Fantasy X.
Nice.
And during like my downtime, I've actually been getting into Final Fantasy 14,
Ooh.
which is the MMO, and it has been my first MMO. And oh my god, it's just so addicting and beautiful, and a lot of fun because there are lots of like Easter eggs of other Final Fantasies in 14 as well. You can actually make your character look like Cloud if you want. And I see a lot of I see a lot of characters running around in Cloud's outfit, and Squall from Final Fantasy 8, Lightning from Final Fantasy 13, and the different classes that you can be are a lot of fun too. I was a healer for the first for the first like 70 levels.
Yep.
I stuck with it for a long time. It did start to stress me out a bit because it's a lot of responsibility.
Healing is hard in MMOs for sure.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh god. I think when it was, what level was it? Did it start to really get to me? Probably about level 50. The dungeons were a lot harder, and it's you really got to focus on the tank and also your own health as well, and stay out of the bad where the where the enemy attacks you. Like there's so many things to think about, and I was just like, okay, it kind of started to take the fun out a little bit for me.
It does, yeah.
And I was like, okay, what other classes are there? And I was just running around one of the main areas, like, because sometimes like it's kind of like I people watch in the MMO. Like I have a look at everyone's characters and their glamour outfits, and I just find it really satisfying. And everyone just kind of like hangs out in a huge group. And then I saw this quest. I was like, okay, what's this? And it said a dancer quest, which is just a DPS class.
Yep.
And I have been hooked on that ever since. And the interesting thing is that you had to be a level 60 in any magic class. So it could be healer, scholar, summoner, anything like that. And I was like, all right, this is what I want to change to. And it was just it's been a huge weight off my shoulders just being a DPS, because I mean that's all I really do in the dungeons.
When I used to play WoW, that's all I did, because I would like sometimes I would play with friends and it would be all right to do other things. But if you're playing
Yeah.
alone and you're joining a dungeon and you have the
Mm.
responsibility of either being a healer or a tank, I'm
Yeah.
like, and they start yelling at you, and you're like,
Oh, that
please,
happened to me.
my anxiety, help! And then I'll just be like, I'll be damaged. Everyone look after me because I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
That's like me because the story dungeons that you go through, they're obviously, if you haven't done them, they're new to you. And I was like, oh God, what are the mechanics? What's gonna happen? Who do I follow? Who do I stick with? Especially when it's the alliance raids where it's like 24 people, I think.
Oh wow,
That's when I got yelled at because I accidentally took the wrong path. I was like, it's my first time. I'm sorry.
it's my first day.
Yeah, and because it's always a mixture of like veteran players and newbie players, which you can tell if someone's a new player anyway because it has like a little sprout next to your name.
Yep.
Once that's gone, then you know that the player's been on the game for quite a while. Which mine disappeared the other day, and I felt a bit sad.
No, my
I was like,
sprout.
oh, it's gone.
Now people are gonna
But yeah,
know.
I know. And even though like my dance is 76, I think now, I'm still you're still learning. Like there's so much to do in that game. There's crafting, which I got to make a start on, and you can fish and you can buy a house which costs 5 million gil, which I don't have, but one day
Just like real
one
life,
day.
trying to buy a house.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can uh color your chocobos as well, but you have to own a house. So I was like, oh
Okay, yep.
damn. But overall, like it's been a lot of fun. It is easy to burn out on though. Which actually happened to me a couple months ago. I needed to take a little bit of a break, but it's because it's so addicting at the start and you level up really fast. You just want to keep going and going and going. But it's become one of my favorite games at the moment. Yeah, and I've been really enjoying it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it just sounds like one of
Yeah.
those games where you go hard for like a few months or whatever, and you're like, yep, break time, and then come back to it in a few months, which is
Yeah,
really cool.
exactly. And you don't necessarily need other friends to play with you. I mean, it makes it better, but I've always been somewhat of a loner when it comes
Yep.
when it comes to playing games. I grew up as a child, so I was always used to just, playing games on my own or sometimes with my mum and dad. Um, but yeah, first time at MMOs, I'm like, you meet new people anyway, so it's a whole other thing, and it's a great experience.
And it's an opportunity to make some friends. Like I've
Yeah.
literally made all my current friends either through video games or through Twitch.
Yeah. Oh, Twitch is insane. It's so good to meet new people. And if you meet someone from one community, chances are they're in another community that you may be a part of.
It's a
Um,
small world almost, especially
yeah.
here in Australia, and people know people, and like, hey, what are you doing in this chat? It's like,
Yeah.
hello.
Like I know you. I
Yeah,
recognize that username.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like such a big platform, and we'll never meet everyone, but yeah, I think it's all like intertwined, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and it's definitely helped I think all of us get through what was last year, brought
Oh
us all
yes.
together even closer, support one another. And I've definitely enjoyed streaming a lot more, I think, from October last year. I started to really, really, really get into it and not be as anxious as I once was because anxiety for me does get in the way quite a bit. Um, but streaming does. As soon as I go live, I'm like, whew, okay, everything's all right. I might be a little bit off, but I know like with the community that you build, they're there for you and they're there to support you, which
And
is
you do
amazing.
have a lovely community, by the way. So everyone, definitely
Oh,
go
thank
check out
you.
Lainey. Go give her a follow. Go join that community. Go show some love. But
We're
yeah,
very
I
silly.
I know all about that anxiety stuff. Like
Yeah.
some days you're just like, man, I just
Yeah.
am I even any good? Do people even want to watch me still? And you're in your own head like a lot of the
Yeah,
times.
exactly. It's so weird because, like, I'll watch my VODs back. I'm like, oh, I actually wasn't that bad. It's just when you're in that moment and you're trying to like explain yourself as like, okay, I might be a little bit off today and I apologize. And you just think that you're in like a whole like big cloud in your head and everything's blocked. But like when I watch my VODs back, I'm like, okay, that wasn't actually that bad. Now I
Yeah.
see what they're saying. And that's reassuring, and that helps a lot too.
No, that's awesome. It's always good to have some
Yeah,
people around that will lift you up when you need it. Um,
exactly.
this week I haven't been playing that much because your boy
Hmm.
Wilby has a really bad toothache at the moment
Oh
that will not
no,
go away.
it's not wisdom tooth related, is it?
I thought
Or
it was
yeah.
because it started hurting over just after New Year's, and I
Oh,
thought, oh,
okay.
wisdom tooth coming through, I'll just bear with it, and it'll
Yeah.
go away soon. Nope,
Uh-huh.
and it feels like it's
Oh
getting worse,
no.
and I'm really, really, really afraid of the dentist. Like
I don't blame you.
probably a lot of
Yeah.
young Australians are. Like they're just really scary. Like our friend Stormy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I am deathly afraid of the dentist too." Because he had to
Oh.
recently go, and so I booked into to see the dentist.
Mm-hmm.
I will probably cry.
Oh,
W-
it's scary. It
oh yeah,
is.
the smell. Oh, the smell of the dentist
Yeah.
kills me every time.
I go in, like, I've been for checkups and stuff, but I have been extremely lucky with my teeth.
Yes,
My
you're very
wisdom
lucky.
teeth my wisdom teeth popped out when I was, oh my gosh, maybe 16, 17. I
Oh
felt a bit
wow.
of pain and I was like, "Wait, are they coming out now?" And then I had a look, saw they were growing, and just kind of left it and forgot about it. And to this day, no pain, no nothing. So I've been extremely lucky. But I've heard, stories of like a few of my friends are like, I have to get my wisdom teeth out. I'm terrified. Need braces, need this, need that. And I'm
Yeah,
just like, wow, I am not gonna take this feeling for granted
you
because I
dodged
am
a
just
bullet.
I was like, whoa, okay.
I'll have whatever you've been eating because I need that. Yeah, it's just teeth are dumb. Wisdom teeth, especially, are stupid and they are wrongly
Yeah.
named for some reason.
Yeah, why wisdom teeth? I never
Uh,
actually thought of that.
stupid teeth. That's what they should be called. But I have played a little bit. I am currently through my playthrough of Amori, which
Oh, yeah. I wanna play that. I'm very curious.
play it.
Yeah.
It's got a big retro vibe, which I know you love.
Mhm.
Very Earthbound like, but
I know.
not
Yeah.
over the top. It's not over the
Yeah.
top Earthbound, but it's Earthbound inspired, and the battle system's like really different. It has like it's like turn
Mm.
based, kind of like Earthbound, and you have a party of four friends, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
uses like emotions as
Mhm.
like kind of like Pokemon types. So
Okay.
you can be like sad, angry, happy, neutral, and I think there's like even
Ah.
more like epic versions of like happy and angry or whatever. So like I think
Yeah.
sad beats happy, happy beats angry, angry beats sad. It's confusing a little bit, but it's
Mhm.
kind of like that where you can use emotions to do more damage or
Oh,
that kind of
wow.
stuff. The story is
Yeah.
really interesting. It's I think it's got a lot to do with um maybe depression, a little bit of sadness, but I haven't finished the
Uh-huh.
story yet, so I'm very curious on sort of how it all plays out because I have thoughts of what's happening, but I guess I won't
Yeah.
know until like it's finally, which is good because there's nothing worse than figuring out a story and where it's going like when you haven't even finished it.
Oh, yeah. That gets me. Like, if you're so lost and you feel like when you get to a point in the story where even you could feel like you're over halfway and you still don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I should know what's going on, but I can't get it. Like, I just don't understand. But I have, like, yeah, with Amori, I've seen bits and pieces of it, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, is this Earthbound?
Yeah.
When I saw the look of it, and I know you've played Earthbound, and I played it a while ago, and oh my god, I enjoyed Earthbound so
I
much.
love
It's
love
so
Earthbound.
weird and so wacky and wonderful, and like, how did they think of all of that? Like, it's just what it was just like one thing after the other, and I want to do it I want to play it again. And the funny thing is, when I played it on my mini Super Nintendo,
Oh yeah.
which did have save states, but I didn't know how to use it.
Oh nice.
I was like, because people will come into chat and they're like, "Oh, you're not using save states. Nice, nice." I was like, "Wait, what?
Save
What's
states?
what's a save state?" It was like my first time experience a game where you can actually do that, but I just didn't know how. But in saying that though, I felt like I didn't really need them very much. I found that in Earthbound, there are quite a few places you can save. It's not too spaced out.
It's not
And
punishing.
yeah, exactly. Not like, oh my God, Donkey Kong Country, for example.
Nope.
Uh, I still to this day think that Donkey Kong Country is harder than Dark Souls.
It's the
That's
Dark
my
Souls of
opinion.
platformers. Thank you, Rare.
Yeah, I know. Like platformers, I love, but holy crap, it just it gets me. I like with Ori and the Blind Forest. You played Ori and the Blind
I
Forest, I remember.
love the Ori, both games, Ori. Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful. I still need to finish the second one, but the first one gets me every time. And even though platformers aren't really my strong point, I will play that game over and over again. It's too beautiful. It's just absolutely stunning.
I remember playing through Will o' the Wisps.
Mm,
I think it was my second favorite game of 2020, and
nice.
I was like, okay, I love Blind Forest. How are they
Mhm.
gonna go with a sequel? And I'm like, they
I
literally done
know.
everything better.
I
I
know,
don't know
yeah.
how.
There's so much more like you have a lot of you have more freedom to explore. I found in the second one.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know if I got halfway or the reason why I stopped playing is because I did get it when it was first released and on the Xbox it was really buggy.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, it kept like stopping and freezing and
Yeah, that doesn't
it got
help.
to the point it got to the point where I load the game, the screen was gray and it was just the animation of Ori falling.
Working as
Const-
intended.
yeah, and I'm like, wait, what? And just nothing loaded. And I was like, hang on, I should restart. I waited like about 5 minutes or so to see if it would actually like do its thing. I was like, no, I need to either turn the thing off, like load it up again, or just restart.
Oh my god.
It was yeah. I was like, all right, I'll give it a break and see if they, uh fix it. Which I think I ended up getting it for the Switch and I played around with it again and it seems all right now. I
Yeah,
think it's
perfect
all
game,
good.
especially if you have Game Pass on
Oh yeah,
Xbox and
true.
PC.
Yeah.
Um, no reason not to check it out if you have Game Pass.
It's beautiful, absolutely stunning, and it will make you cry. If you like
Oh
games that
my
make you
god, it
cry,
will make you cry. Yes.
if you need something to get those emotions out, play Ori, both of them.
Like the first one was sad, and I was like, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the second
Yeah,
one.
bring
Nope,
it. Bring
nope.
on the emotions.
My emotions.
I
Help.
know.
Oh, fantastic game. But we guys,
Mm,
everyone, we are here to talk about Final Fantasy X.
we are.
So we are going to
Woo.
start with some development facts and
Mhm.
stories and all that good stuff. So, Final Fantasy X is an action-adventure role-playing game developed and published by Square. It was released on the PlayStation 2 all the way back on July 19th, 2001 in Japan, December 17th, 2001 in North America, May 17th, 2002 in Australia, and May 24th,
Mm.
2002 in Europe, which is weird because Australia is usually the last person to get these kind of games. So
Yeah,
take that,
right.
Europe, like a
We
week
beat you.
before. So Lainey, can you tell me and everyone about your relationship with Final Fantasy X? Like
Mhm.
how did you play it first?
Yep. Well, interesting story. Okay, when I was younger, I was very much a judge a game by its case um person. I don't know why.
I think everyone
It
was,
was
yeah.
always yeah. That's true. And with Final Fantasy, the only other one that I had played a little bit of at a friend's place was Final Fantasy 7. Since then, I was very much a Nintendo kid until the PlayStation 2. And I remember when I got the PlayStation 2 for my 11th birthday, I went around to the shops and to look for some games. And I think it was Target or Big W.
One of those
um,
classics. Yep.
yeah, and all the shelves. The first game was Final Fantasy X. I was like, "What is this?"
The
because it
cover,
was just
the cover looks
yeah.
beautiful too.
Yeah, but with the original PlayStation 2 version, the cover or the front cover was just white, and it just had Final Fantasy X, the text, and
Okay.
a little bit of the artwork. So it wasn't really captivating. Um,
Oh yeah, I just
and
pulled it
I
up. Yeah, I remember seeing that
yeah
one. Yep.
yeah the remastered, however, they completely redone it. It's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I looked. I was like, wait, what is this? Why is this everywhere? Is this popular? And I just kind of ignored it. And then a while later, when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, I saw Donald Duck on the cover. I was like, oh, what is this?
Yep.
And I was like, okay, there's kids on the front with spiky hair. All right, I can see Mickey, I can see Goofy. Turn it around, and it gave a little bit of a blurb, the description, and it said, I remember seeing a sentence about Final Fantasy characters. I was like, okay, and I was like, all right, I'll get this. Played it, and then there were Final Fantasy X characters at the start of the game, and I was like, huh, who are okay? And in Kingdom Hearts, they have like the little description of each character, even the enemies. You can read up about it if you like, and gives like the history about the characters and where they're from. And at the bottom it said Final Fantasy X for Tidus and Waka, and I was like, okay. And then a little while later, I was like, maybe I should check out Final Fantasy X, and I went shopping with my mum and bought the game, loaded it up, and got so emotional with
Yep.
the song, the the
Intro
two
song.
Zanarkand, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, this is so pretty. And because I had never picked up the game and looked at the back of it, and you can see like Tidus and Yuna and like just beautiful artwork, and I was like, oh my god, I just ignored it for this long. It was like a year or so. And then I was just so hooked on it. And it was during a time where I was really struggling in high school. My family life, my home life was doing great. It was just school. I really like I would try to do anything not to go because of like I used to get teased a lot, and I went to an all girls school and they weren't very nice.
How dare they
Um
give me their names?
it's just that time when you're
Oh,
in your early teens,
kids are
and
cruel,
they're
man.
nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are just nasty. And then that Final Fantasy X was my escape, and it was the first time that I had ever experienced a turn-based RPG. Um, and it did take me a while to figure out the leveling up system, but the music really got me, and the visuals, like looking at the difference between the PlayStation 2 version and the HD remastered. It's a big difference, but the PlayStation 2 version still looks stunning.
Well,
Um
PlayStation 2, yes, like it's the original
yeah.
is like wow, like still like obviously a little bit dated, but still if
Yeah.
you can take your mind back to the PlayStation 2 era, like
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Exactly. It was crazy. And like I still get so blown away by the graphics and the music and the story. And um I when I recently completed it, I was really, really crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, oh my gosh, because I play it at least once a year, maybe once every 2 years. And that way it keeps things fresh for me. Um because I kind of, it's like that feeling like you want to forget something and relive it again later on when you revisit it, because it gives you back that warm feeling of experiencing something that you love for the very first time, even though it's not, really the very first time, but
Yeah.
it's close.
There's heaps of games I would love to forget just to
Yeah,
play it again.
same. And oh my goodness, it really helped me through my high school years, and defeating really hard bosses for the first time without knowing what to do, like without knowing the proper strategy or what armor or weapons I should really be using. And no YouTube back then.
Nope.
No
You're on
walkthroughs.
your own.
Yeah, you just got to kind of find out everything by yourself. And that was, looking back, I'm like, that's actually a real challenge, because now everything's so accessible. You think, oh, just look at YouTube, oh, just Google it on my phone, easy peasy, and there's your answer. um But back then, I would spend hours and I was like, how do I defeat this boss? Like there was one boss I was stuck on that kept healing itself
Oh, I hate that.
constantly. Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing a lot of damage, but it keeps healing more than the damage. I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
That was like constant loop. And when you finally figure it out on your own, it's just like, oh, that was just such a liberating feeling at such a young age. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's cool
Yeah.
achieving that kind of stuff. But because we're talking about Earthbound and stuff, while I was
Yeah.
playing through Earthbound, I was like,
Mm.
how did kids play this game?
I know.
Like, how did kids like?
Yes.
I've said that about like retro games before, and people like, I think as kids,
Yeah.
we just trial and error, trial and error. We don't really think about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, trial and error on Earthbound, no, thank you. Give me the walkthrough.
I know. I remember like with Earthbound, I think it's really good to have, well, personally, I find it good to have a guide for the inventory system. I found that a bit
Yeah.
like messy. But apart from that, like trying to learn the game on my own, I was just like, oh my God, what the hell do I do?
Send help.
How do I take this boss down? Why did it kill me in one hit? I must be doing something wrong. But the thing is too, like with Final Fantasy X, there is what they call the no sphere grid challenge. And that's like you don't level up at all. And it is possible to finish the game like that.
That sounds nuts.
That's terrifying to me, but there's a part of me that's like, maybe I should try it next time.
Yeah, like if you just try it,
Yeah.
like, it can't hurt.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing with that is just you got to use a lot of customized weapons and armor to help with defense and all that kind of thing. But at the moment, with what I'm challenging myself with is trying to take down the super bosses, and I've taken down one. I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Nice.
And that after I did that, that was very emotional for me too, because I had never done that before. And I'd always, there's a little voice in your head sometimes that go, oh, you can't do that. Like that's too hard. That's too much grinding. That's, da da da. And now that, grinding I don't feel it's not as draining as, it once was for me. I actually find it quite therapeutic, which is weird.
Yeah, grinding can be both either good or bad. There's good grinds and there's like just absolute draining grinds. For
yeah.
Sure.
And I think it also with a lot of other Final Fantasies, I think Final Fantasy X on Steam, you can speed up the game, so that makes grinding more bearable, like you 2 times speed or 4 times speed. So everything's a lot faster. But for some reason they didn't release that on the Switch or other console like PlayStation. So going back to like the usual pace, like the original pace when you're grinding, it's a bit like ugh. Like you do get used to it, but with the older Final Fantasies like 7, 8, 9, even 12, you can really speed it up. So grinding takes a lot less time. And I'm happy that they added those features. It makes things less tedious for the player as well. And you are able to turn off the like no encounter, like random encounters. That's a big thing with all the Final Fantasies.
That sounds bless.
which you can do in 10. You do need a weapon for it. But I think that also was a feature in the Steam version. I'm pretty sure from memory. And I was like, ooh, this is nice. Because I know like new players to Final Fantasy, one of the things that does get them is the random encounters and how frequent they are.
I mean, if you played Pokemon, you should be all right.
Pokemon is actually a series that I have barely touched.
True.
Yeah, I played Pokemon Snap,
Yes,
and that was it. That was so much fun. And I do have Pokemon. What was the Let's Go Eevee and Shield? I did get those, but for some reason I couldn't really get into it. I think because my knowledge on Pokemon isn't that great.
And there's a lot,
so I don't,
especially in like Sword and Shield. There is a lot going on.
Yeah. And I think like when I've seen other streamers that I know play Pokemon and they're huge fans of it, and they get so excited when, every Pokemon pops up, I'm like, I don't know who they are. I was like, who's that?
Who
If they're
dis?
like
Who dis?
newer, yeah, like I've got no idea. I was like, oh, I wish I had that, that relation to it. But I think I'm thinking of giving the older Pokemon games a go if I can get my hands on them, because I hear good things, and when I hear good things about a game, I really, really want to try it because I want to, share that hype with people. And even if it's a game that people hate, like I know with Final Fantasy VIII, it's either loved or hated. Final Fantasy 13, oh gosh, the amount of hate that 13 gets is insane. I enjoyed 13, and even 10 too. Even Final Fantasy 10 too. There are a lot of people that don't like it, but I enjoyed it. I always like to find the positives in games, even if it's just the music and the gameplay's crap. I'll still enjoy it.
Yeah, you're just a positive
Yeah,
Pete, and that's great.
yeah. It's easier that way because I don't like putting things down, and it's a waste of energy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of a waste of energy, what a segue.
Mm.
Square's first game was actually a text adventure called The Death Trap in 1984. In April of 2003, so 2 years after Final Fantasy X, Square and
Mm.
video game publishers Enix merged to create Square Enix as we know them today. The merger
Yeah,
had
that's
been
it.
in consideration since the year 2000, but the financial failure of Square's first movie, Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, made Enix
Mm.
reluctant to proceed while Square was losing money. But with the success of Final Fantasy X and Kingdom Hearts, they joined forces and became a fan favorite company for gamers. Did you
That's so
watch this
interesting.
Final Fantasy movie?
I haven't yet, but I want to. I really want to because I hear that it's not good.
You just kind of want to
um,
see what it's about?
yeah, I'm so. Have you watched it? I'm so
No,
curious.
no.
Yeah, I I heard that there's some famous voice actors in there. I think. Oh, I'm someone that's really bad with names. I'm picturing them in my head, but I can't
Yep,
remember the names.
that guy,
Um, yeah, that guy and that
old
lady.
mate.
Yeah, and I remember reading about how with Kingdom Hearts around that time of Final Fantasy X, like with Square Enix being really paranoid with losing money and stuff, that they just thought of the game Kingdom Hearts and released that, and I think didn't expect it to be so successful. Because Kingdom Hearts is loved by millions and millions of fans, especially like, Final
It's a
Fantasy
yeah,
fans.
huge fan base.
Yeah, and I think like it's just something that they weren't expecting. And like with Final Fantasy X, I find it interesting um when I speak to other fans as well. A lot of the time they say Final Fantasy X was the last good one. All of the others after that were bad. And I strongly disagree. I know that they're different, especially with battle systems. It changed a lot in Final Fantasy 12. Um, and obviously, like some of the characters later on, especially in 13, a lot of them were very disliked. But I am someone that embraces change. Um, of course, like there are some things that I, you know, still love and want to come back, but I don't, I'm not against change when it comes. I think change is good for a franchise as big as Final Fantasy because it's been around for years and years
Oh
since
yeah,
the 80s.
you definitely
And
need you need something different. Otherwise, it's
yeah,
gonna get stale, and then
exactly.
sales are gonna drop.
Yeah, exactly. And the classics are there, for a reason. You can always go back to them. They're releasing on other consoles. You can get them on Steam or PlayStation or the Switch now. Um, because Final Fantasy X hasn't been on the Switch for very long. And when I saw it was released on that, I was really happy because there are a few of my friends that only have the Switch and really wanted to play Final Fantasy X and 10 2. I was like, oh, now
Oh,
you guys
awesome.
can. Yeah. So it's that there's a lot more option with these kind of things now, which is really good.
So I've got some of the cast from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we got if I mispronounce this person's name, I'm sorry, but it's Ming Na Wen, who I've never heard the name, but I definitely know the face. I think she was in Mulan. She was just in The
Oh,
Mandalorian.
yeah.
Chung-Li from Street
Yeah.
Fighter.
Mhm. Mhm.
Amazing, amazing, very beautiful. Alec Baldwin, Steve
That's
Buscemi,
yep. Mhm.
Donald Sutherland, James Woods,
Mhm.
who a piece of candy, and a whole bunch of others. So pretty stacked cast. But yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't do too well.
Yeah, famous names, but yeah, apparently it went a bit down the drain. But what one of these days I'm just gonna have like a cozy night. I'm like, all right, let's watch Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within and see what all the fuss is about.
You should do a like a Discord movie night.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I think the thing with Discord movie nights is kind of hard because some things get blocked. I remember I was trying to show Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, and you could hear the sound, but the screen was
Ah,
blacked
okay.
out.
Just a few
Yeah,
technical problems.
yeah, and like if it's like copyrighted and stuff, they yeah don't allow it, which I
Dandy
understand.
Discord one day. Yeah,
Yeah, one
understandable,
day.
but annoying.
Yeah, because you could. There's so many movies that a lot of streamers and or just like Discord users want to show, but they can't because of the whole copyright thing, which is a bummer.
Yeah, it's a big issue. DMCA's and everything. Hopefully
Oh
that will
gosh.
get fixed soon
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's old. We made the
Mm,
DMCA thing so long ago. It needs to be updated, but
exactly.
we definitely need like political help with that kind of stuff. It's not just
Oh yeah.
like I know a lot of people are giving Twitch crap at the moment, but
Mm,
there's a few things they could do and to make it a bit easier for us. But
mm,
at the end of the day, I think it definitely needs to be some sort of like political, um,
yeah.
like we need some political help with that. So hopefully in the future, someone, a politician somewhere is a big gamer, you know,
Big
if,
nerd.
yeah,
I'll fix it.
maybe Henry Cavill. I know he's not a politician, but he'll save us all.
Oh, definitely. A million times over.
Oh, Henry Cavill, I love you. One day I'll have him on the podcast.
Oh, that'll be sweet.
We wouldn't even
Imagine
talk
that.
about games. I would just gush.
Just feel like just don't stop talking. Just keep talking.
I'm like,
Try
so Henry, why are you so handsome?
it.
He's like, well, that's a
What do
weird
you do?
question. Just leaves. Oh my
Oh,
god.
nice.
Speaking of
Mm.
Henry Cavill, so Final Fantasy X's development began all the way in 1999 and cost them around 4 billion yen,
Woof.
which is around $50 million dollaridos in today's money.
Mhm. Oh my
They had
god.
a team of over 100 people, many of those people who had worked on previous Final Fantasy games in the past.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go with some names. Executive producer
Here we go.
uh, Hironobu Sakaguchi,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mate, has stated that he first had concerns with this new direction they were going in. We were speaking of things changing, with going
Mhm.
from 2D to 3D backgrounds, voice acting, and real time storytelling being a worry. He said that the Final Fantasy series can be attributed to consistently challenging the development team to try new things, which is definitely
Mhm.
what they did.
Oh yeah.
Final Fantasy X was announced at the Square Millennium event held in Tokyo, Japan in the year 2000. They actually announced Final Fantasy IX for the
Mhm.
summer of 2000, Final Fantasy X to be released early spring 2001, and Final Fantasy 11 in late 2001. And they announced all three games
Yeah.
in one go. And this was back when they would release a Final Fantasy every single year,
That's
which is crazy.
insane. And it's like I know with the timings and stuff with Final Fantasy 9 being the last Final Fantasy for the PlayStation 1, um it, unfortunately it didn't get as much love because of Final Fantasy 10 being released not long after, and also like on a brand new console.
Yeah.
Everyone starts getting, hyped about it's like, new console, new generation and everything like that. And which is a shame because Final Fantasy 9 I only played for the very first time last year. Was a wonderful experience, and it's something that I want to get back to um because they brought back like features from older Final Fantasies, like having four characters in your party. And it was also very visually pleasing to me as well. um But like as I mentioned before, like it's just really good that all these classics are getting released on like our current consoles, so people can revisit them whenever they like.
Oh, they're doing great work with
Yeah.
that, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Just looking at Final Fantasy 9, because Final Fantasy 9 is definitely one you don't hear about. You don't hear about 3, 6,
Yeah.
7, 8,
Mm.
10, 13, but 9 you don't really hear about that much when I think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's kind of sometimes I feel like it's pushed to the side a little bit. Um but I when I was going through it, I just played it for the story. I didn't do any optional stuff, but I looked up some things and I was like, "Ooh, okay, interesting super boss."
Yeah.
now I'm getting like, oh God, going super boss crazy lately. I'm just like, "Oh, wow, this is it's something that because I have been doing a Final Fantasy run on streams, and it's a series that I just really need right now, especially with how with what everything like with everything going on in the world. I need this series like to really bring me up, and I have really enjoyed it, and doing like challenging myself more with the game, doing optional stuff. And I was like, okay, now with the ones that we did last year, we're going to go back and we're going to do all the optional stuff.
Yeah.
And so I can really dive into, because I know that like I mainly play Final Fantasies like for the story. The gameplay is like a if it's good gameplay, it's like a bonus for me. But I want to I just want to experience more, and I think that will make me like fall in love more with the series as well.
That's kind of
Yeah.
like The Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 with me, where
Mhm.
I absolutely love that story in both games.
Yeah.
But I don't really never really cared about the game. Like, the gameplay was good. It wasn't like anything special or fantastic to me,
Mhm.
but like because the story was so good, I'm like, I'm just gonna push through this gameplay, even though it was kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't want to say average, but like, it's just like a standard sort of third person action
Uh-huh.
stealth game. But like, because
Yeah.
the story was so good, I'm like, man, these games gonna like stay with me for my whole life, hopefully.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want, these story-based games and JRPGs to stick with you. And so far, every Final Fantasy that I've gone through has done that in some way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Whether it's
Good
whether it's
story.
for like personal reasons, or like with I cried I cried at the end of Final Fantasy 12 because it took me so many years to beat, because I couldn't get used to the battle system, because that's when they started to change things.
Okay, yep.
And I struggled a lot with it. The PlayStation 2 version I found actually quite tricky. But the Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age was easy. You could choose classes for your characters in this one, and the battle system is one of those ones where you just need to practice quite a bit, and once you get the hang of it, then it starts to get a bit easier. Um, and when I got to the end, and everyone in chat was like, you did it, GG. I got really emotional.
Oh,
I was
it's a
like,
epic achievement.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I beat it after all these years. Because also when I did get Final Fantasy 12, I was so attached to Final Fantasy 10 still, and 10 too. Like it was the first Final Fantasy that I completed, and my brain was just like, okay, surely I'll see these characters again, right? Surely,
Surely.
somewhere, surely they'll pop up. And then when I loaded up Final Fantasy 12, I was like, oh my god, everything's different. Who are these people? What's the story? What's this place? This is wrong. Like where, like where am I? And I was like, oh god, and I got a little bit sad, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll just put it to the side a bit, and we'll get back to it. But it was just, yeah, like with the story being different, the music being very different, uh, and the battle system, it was just yeah, I couldn't at that time get into it. But eventually I made it through, and it's definitely one that I would want to revisit as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Did
Yeah,
you play the Final Fantasy 7 remake?
I sure did.
You like
It's
it?
Oh, I loved it. It's I too many emotions. I it's like I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, you know, when you experience something that good
Yep.
and you have to take a moment and step out the room. It's like, all right, okay, let's get back in. And it was just so much. Oh, it's
I
hard to think
think
of the word.
I think I felt like that after I finished probably like BioShock Infinite, just because of the ending to that
Oh,
game,
okay.
where
Yeah.
I'd oh, especially and in BioShock 1 as well. Like BioShock, one of my favorite series.
Oh,
Um
nice.
yeah, I had to like stand up, leave the room, go outside, get some sunlight. So I'm like, what just happened? What did I just
Yeah, I know.
experience?
Like with the 7 remake, I remember when the trailer in when did the first trailer? I think it was 2015, I want to say,
Many years ago.
where you just see Cloud walking and I'm like, "Oh my god, he's in HD. Turn
You see
around."
his sword and stuff. It looks sick.
Yeah, I was like, "Just turn around. Let me see your face. I just please." And I just got so I got so emotional and then my partner Jonathan's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, just give me a minute." I just gotta breathe. But with the 7 remake, oh my god, like I was a bit with the voice acting, with Tifa and Aerith, like that was different to Final Fantasy 7, Advent Children, and Kingdom Hearts when they were in there.
Yep.
And at first I was like, "Oh, different." But then I absolutely fell in love with the job that the voice actors did. They did so well. And the gameplay, even though it's you know, it's a real-time battle system, I enjoyed it so much. And that was one that I did in hard mode recently.
Oh wow.
And again, got very emotional. Final Fantasy, I swear. And I got so emotional and just that was also a game that I played for the first time in hard mode because I'm always scared of like hard modes. Like, oh,
Oh, me too.
yeah, am I gonna, like reach a stopping point or I just like can't continue? Um, so I've always just been, casual player, but now, picking up those challenges, a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. And then hopefully in future games you're like, well, hard mode is just standard now, guys. That's what we're doing now.
It's like you're doing normal first.
Nope.
Who's normal?
What's Dark
Nah,
Souls?
extreme mode.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully the part 2 will come out soon and
Oh
everyone can
man,
enjoy
I'm
that.
trying so hard not to think about it. It's like
Yeah.
it
Sad.
will come out, but I'm just like people will mention it. It's like, oh wait, don't let me think about it because I'll go crazy. I'll go impatient.
It's like I'll just go play some more 10 and 14. We'll just
Yeah,
we'll wait for this.
forget about part 2 for a bit. It's like it will happen, but I'm
Yeah.
also very curious on where they will take it as well. Because I know a lot of people compare it to the original, and I think the thing as well, it is a remake, not a remaster.
Yeah.
Um, they're two very different things, and as mentioned before, like I'm all for change. As long as it's not too much of a change, but little changes here and there, that's fine. I mean, it's a remake after.
You know what we should do? We should
Hmm.
definitely in the future, if you want to, do a Final Fantasy 7 episode.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be
Yeah,
pretty cool. I'd like that.
yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be good.
I'd love to play the original because I think I only played that once, like completed the story once. Um, and again, other things that I missed in there, but that was a journey. I was all over the place.
Oh hell yeah, that'd be fun to take a deep dive on that game.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh well, back to 10. The character and world design was a huge change too, since
Mhm.
Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8 and on were depicting a more Western and futuristic world. Scenario
Mhm.
writer Kaz Kazush oh, Kazushiji?
I
How do you
think
say
that's
that name?
Kazu for short.
Kazu Nojima. Sorry, mate. I'm gonna send him a letter and be like, I apologize. Um, Suggested using more Asian themes instead of going back to
Mhm.
the more medieval European themes that were present in older Final Fantasy games. This was an idea that was closer to the culture and world of the development team, but to still add that fantasy flavor. They decided to give the game a more tropical theme, using influences from Japan, Thailand, and the South Pacific Islands, and using all these ideas, locations, and themes, let them design and build Spira. Is it Spira? It's not Spira, is it? Spira?
Spira, yeah. Yeah.
Spira is made up of a large island with smaller islands surrounding it. Lainey, tell me what you love about Spira. Are there any areas that stand out the most, or anything you don't like about it?
What I don't like about it. That's a good question. Well, starting with what I love how they did use more Asian themes instead of like, the westernized and futuristic world. Like, I think because in Spira there's a lot of water. There's beachy towns and foresty areas, and I think with me living in a coastal area myself, kind of relate to it in some way and made me like really appreciate it. And my mum coming from the Philippines, there are a lot of beautiful islands over there, and it kind of felt homey to me, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
100%.
Yeah, and there are a lot of different different areas in Final Fantasy X, and trying to think of one that I don't like.
Well, there could be none you don't like.
Yeah, like, I mean, there are ones that I like more than the other, but one area in particular that does stand out to me is the Thunder Plains.
That sounds brutal.
Now, there's a I recently did this challenge where you have to dodge 200 lightning strikes in a row.
What? In a
You cannot
row?
save in a row. Yes, you cannot save. You cannot leave the area. You do that, it resets. Now, this is for a celestial weapon, aka like a Ultima weapon, and it's for a character I'm not even using right now for the end game stuff.
Of course, yep.
But I had to get it.
Yep.
It was driving me crazy. I have to get it. And with the weapon, it says for Lulu, she's a black mage, so it's all magic. And there's a particular crater in the ground, and there are lightning rod towers where the lightning is drawn to, so you don't get struck. So you sit under, or you stand under there. You should be fine. And then you turn off no encounters, so then you don't get a random battle, and you go back and forth from that crater. And there's always a lightning strike that hits at the edge of the crater, so you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. The first time I properly tried it, I got to 188 and got struck.
Oh no.
Very close. And my friends were telling me their strategies for it. So I removed the background music. As much as I love the theme from the Thunder Plains, it's very repetitive.
Yeah.
Put about 5 songs that lasted about 5 to 6 minutes, and put the timer on for 20 minutes. It's a lot. I did end up doing it, but I went over by 85, so I ended up dodging 285.
Oh wow, make up for lost time.
Yeah, but you'd rather be over than under, otherwise you have to start all over again.
Yep.
And my hands had never been so sweaty, because you can you can take breaks under the tower, but for me, once I'm in that groove and that rhythm, I have to keep going. Otherwise, I'll probably mess up or like do the wrong thing. And in my head, I was thinking, I think I've done enough. The worst thing to do is to count.
Yeah.
You just don't count. And now I don't have to do that again for very long.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. But out of the places, Thunder Plains was a bit irritating. But apart from that, like the cities in Spira were absolutely beautiful. And but the one thing that bugged me was the city of Bevel, which is where Yuna originally is from. You can't explore. Unfortunately. Yeah, you can't explore, and there are like cutscenes where you see the kind of like a helicopter view, and you look everywhere.
Oh,
and
yep.
And it's just like, oh my God. I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, I really want to walk and explore. Let me, please.
Just let me walk
But
around. I don't have to do anything.
but because the game is very linear, you gotta, follow the path
Yeah.
and go to the next part, which is fine. I didn't have a problem with that, but that's one thing I wish you could have done is just explore more of certain areas. Definitely.
Well, obviously, 2 out of 10 for this game. Can't explore.
That's it. Low reviews.
No, the Spira looks amazing. The Thunder Plains look absolutely freaking devastating. So I do not. I'm not jealous of you at all.
At least I did it.
We did it.
I can say I did it.
We did it, gang. So sub-character chief designer Fumi Nakashima's, I got that one good, focus was to ensure that characters from different regions and cultures bore distinctive characteristics in their clothing styles so that they could be quickly and easily identified as members of their respective subgroups. For example, she has said that the masks and goggles of the Our Bed group give the group a strange and eccentric appearance, while the attire of the Ronzo lend to them being able to easily engage in battle. I am so good at words.
Reading. It's hard.
So good. Thanks to the power of the PlayStation 2, Final Fantasy X features innovations in the rendering of the characters' facial expressions achieved through motion capture and skeletal animation technology. This technology allowed animators to create realistic lip movements, which were then programmed to match the speed of the game's voice actors. The cutscenes of Tidus and Yuna kissing was actually redone many, many, many times. Most of the animators were not experienced with romance scenes. Visual Works director Kazuyuki Ikumori, thank you, stated that the animators sought feedback from younger staff at Square as well as the female members of staff. The scene was remade multiple times after receiving responses that earlier drafts were unnatural and not believable. I mean, cut them some slack. It's like 2000. I'm going to put a video of the kissing scene in the show notes. As I said, it's not up to 2021 standards, but for like 2001, it's all right. It works.
Yeah, that scene, wow. Like when I'm going back to when I saw it for the very first time, the journey of Yuna and Tidus, when you're playing the game, you just know that they are falling for each other.
Yeah,
it's so obvious.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I was just like, I was like, I remember thinking, I was like, are they going to kiss? When's it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Please happen.
Yeah.
I was like, but when? And when I saw that, because it's quite a lengthy cutscene.
It's beautiful, by the way. Definitely check it out.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's in and Macalania is one of my favorite places in the game. Like just to go in there and just stand in there with my character. Like, that's what I did when I wanted to listen to the music again before YouTube was a thing, and that scene with the story, Yuna being so torn of what to do. Does she continue her pilgrimage, or does she back out and live her life the way she wants to live her life? And in the way like Tidus does encourage her, but then again she realizes that no, I can't. I have a duty to do. I need to finish my pilgrimage, go up against sin. And when it goes to like the CGI part, I was like, this is it. It's coming. Come on, hurry up. And and the song, I can never pronounce it. Suteki Dane, which means "Isn't it wonderful" in Japanese.
Cute.
And I started bawling my eyes out, and I was like, they did it! They made it!
Yay!
And yeah, it was just because before that scene was so many boss fights and just regular fights. I was like, I just want to get out of this area.
Yep.
And then that was like your reward after that. and oh my god, it was absolutely stunning. And I've seen that so many times. Sometimes where I just want to feel something, just have a bit of a cry.
Yep.
I go back to that scene, and it's just, yeah, gets me every time. Every time.
Very, very beautiful scene. And yeah, like 2001, it's very, very good for 2001. So just
for
relax,
sure.
everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
But can we talk about the laughing scene?
Oh,
Because
yes.
I've heard a lot about it, and I don't remember or never seen it. So I looked it up,
Okay.
watched a
Yep.
video, and I don't know why it gets so much hate. Like it.
I don't either. Yeah.
So I'll
It's
put that in the show notes as well.
yes. That one, it is cringe, but it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Like they're having that moment where Yuna says, she one quote from the game and from her that really to me is where she says, I tried to practice smiling when I'm feeling down. And that's it's a good thing to remember, because sometimes, smiling does lift you up a little bit.
Words to live
And
by.
yeah, and when she's like, okay, smile, try laughing out loud, and yes, it's for, but it it really brought them closer together, and it's such a nice and wholesome moment for the two of them. And the other characters are staring at them thinking, what the hell, are you guys okay?
Yeah.
They just don't even know what to say. And I think it's because the way the voice actor for Tidus is laughing.
Oh, it's just being a
Um,
smartass.
yeah, it's very loud and a bit screechy, but he's in this area where the ocean's right in front of him, and there's a lot of open space. It's like, all right, you want me to laugh? I'll go, 100%.
Yeah. I love when she joins in too.
Yeah. And that's what really made me feel all like mushy inside. I was like, oh, like that's really sweet. And like even that, like when I've seen streams of this game or when I've streamed it, like there'll people go, oh, make it stop. I'm like, no, I'll
No.
turn it up. And it's just, yeah, I love that moment. And James Arnold Taylor, the voice actor of Tidus, he still gets stopped for it.
Oh,
And
really? Yeah.
I think he made a video explaining himself that, look, it was meant to be that way.
Yeah.
It's meant to be forced. It's a awesome moment between him and Yuna. And I think he mentioned in an earlier in he and Yuna weren't even in the same room when it happened.
No, the English cast went.
Yeah, I think they were, for the thing, almost. And it still went to it still was put together really well. And I know, like, when people say Final Fantasy X, they immediately start laughing, but like with that laughing scene. But I'm cool with that. Like that was a very wholesome moment for me to watch. And I know a lot of other people agree, but yeah, a few of the others just like, it's so cringy, remove
No.
it.
If you think it's
I loved
cringe,
it.
then your laugh is not as good as theirs. I said it.
There it is.
But the voice acting in this game, while being pretty fantastic, also influenced the writing and the script. I was about to say Kojima. Nojima has revealed that the inclusion of voice acting enabled him to express emotion more powerfully than before, and he was therefore able to keep the storyline simple. He also said that the presence of voice actors led him to make various changes to the script during development in order to match the voice actors' personalities with the characters they are portraying. Adding voices to the series also had its fair share of problems, though. With the game's cutscenes already programmed around the Japanese voice work, the English localization team faced the difficulty of establishing English-orientated dialogue and the obstacle of incorporating this modified wording with the rhythm and timing of the characters' lip movements, which, we've had that problem with anime and stuff like that for many years. Localization specialist Alexander O. Smith noted that they had to keep the localized sound file within the duration of the original Japanese, as longer files would cause the game to crash. He described the process of fitting natural sounding English speech into the game as something akin to writing 4 or 5 movies worth of dialogue entirely in haiku form, and of course the actors had to act and act well with those restraints, which that
Wow.
sounds hard.
Yeah. The thing I noticed, actually quite recently, um, I, as you do on YouTube, you go down a bit of series and facts about it.
Yep.
um, I found out that there's a particular scene with Titus, like towards the end of the game, talking about Yuna, and the Ronso was saying that they will build a statue for her,
Oh yeah.
and after she, defeats sin and all that. And there was a particular line, Titus, and he was saying, I wanted to see Yuna's statue, but I want to see it. And the way he says, and then the next part, he go, with Yuna by my side, really, really fast. And that was actually because they were trying to squeeze in that line for the Japanese
Oh, the mouth movement.
yeah, the
Yep.
mouth movements, yeah. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that, because I thought he was just frustrated, because
Ah.
during that part he's already frustrated. Um, so I thought when he said, like, with Yuna by my side, he was already, in that state of mind of being like angry at the current situations of, not knowing what to do in terms of saving Yuna. Um, and like I was thinking it could have been, with Yuna beside me, something like that. But all those years I thought it was just out of frustration, but it was actually because they were trying to squeeze it in
Yep.
to that little scene so it would fit. Yeah. Interesting.
It's mind blowing, isn't it? It's like that with anime
Yeah,
too. Like when because I watch most anime dubbed because I have no time to read. And while
that's like me.
I do like the Japanese versions sometimes because they do
Mm,
have a lot more or sometimes different emotion to the English voice actors. I generally watch it in English; it's just a little bit easier for my
yeah.
poor little brain. You can definitely tell when like the characters not shown on screen, or they talk, that their voice lines are a lot more. They flow a lot more and talk
Mm,
more freely compared to when their character is like shown talking.
yeah.
It definitely always noticed that in anime, and it would have been a lot harder with a video game because, as they said, you do something a little bit longer, game's gonna crash and then screw everything up.
Yeah, especially back then. I mean, so many things that they had to think about. Um, but yeah, it's just so interesting with, like, and that's why, like, I enjoy, discovering more things about this game. Like, yes, it's my favorite game of all time, but I don't know every little thing about
No.
it. And I like it that way, because every time I play it, I figure out something new, something different. I'll remember something that I forgot years ago. Um and we're lucky to have, YouTubers out there that are so invested in series like this, that they release videos of random facts, or facts that you may not have known, little bits and pieces that you may not have picked up, and then they're thinking, oh wow, and then you play the game again and then discover it for yourself, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I like looking up like game facts and things you
Yeah,
may
me
have
too.
missed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think a fun fact I found with this I didn't write down is that they don't mention Tidus's name at all in the game.
That's very true. I remember I wanted them to say his name so much when I first played, um, because it was a new experience for me, to because you can change his name. It
Yeah, I
doesn't,
think that's why they
yeah,
didn't put his name in.
yeah, and that's a very common thing with previous Final Fantasy. You can change the name of the main character or other characters in your party. With this one, it was just Tidus, and you can change the names of Yuna's Aeon in
Ah, okay,
battle.
yep.
Yeah, which was I did for the very first time this time around, and
Oh,
I became more attached to them as well.
that's cool.
Yeah, and because I've always been someone like, oh, I'll just keep their name, but I think, like, for first time playthroughs, it's good to keep the original name, because you are learning about the story and learning about the characters. But if you play it again, then you can with it. Um,
when I was younger, I
Yeah.
used to change names in games like Pokemon. But
Oh,
now
yeah.
I usually keep the names as is, and I'm pretty sure to keep bringing up Earthbound, one of the characters' original names is Pooh.
Yes.
So I kept it like that. I was like, okay, that's what you
That's what
want
it
it to be.
That's funny, brought back Earthbound because when I first tried it, um I went to Discord and I was like, okay, I'm gonna name Ness myself,
Yep,
but the other three?
3-ish, yeah.
Three, yeah, you guys can go nuts with the name. And some suggestions were made, but I named I named Ness Leno, which is kind of like
Yep.
a boyish name of my name. Um, and that was mid 2019, and still to this day, I get called Leno on stream.
Oh no. Oh no.
But I actually don't mind it. It's kind of like
Like an
a little,
Aussie nickname.
yeah, like it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But it's mainly like with a couple of my mods, they that found me that down back then, and they're like, "Oh, Leno."
Leno, there you go, mate.
And yeah, and I was like, "Oh no, that's fine." Um, I kind of like it because if you know remember the comedians Leno and Woodley,
Yes,
those Aussie
used to love
comedians,
them. Yep.
yeah, it reminds me of them. Um, and yeah, it doesn't. Well, I actually think it's quite funny.
Leno and Wilby.
Yeah, there you
Oh
go.
my god.
That's,
Netflix,
yep, duo, comic
call
duo.
us up. I don't know how funny we are. We'll probably just sit there and laugh awkwardly, but you know, that's all you're getting.
That's awesome.
We're gonna talk about a little bit of music because you've been talking about that a little
Woo!
bit, and the music is fantastic.
Hell
Final
yeah.
Fantasy X marks the first time Nobu Uematsu has had any assistance in composing the score for a Final Fantasy game. His fellow composers for Final Fantasy X were Masashi Hamazu and
Mhm.
Junya Nakano.
Mhm.
Uematsu contributed 51 tracks. Hamazu contributed 20 tracks, and Nakano contributed 18 tracks to the game, which is crazy amount of tracks.
Ooh, yeah, that's
The-
a lot.
The two new composers were chosen for the soundtrack based on their ability to create music that was different from Uematsu's while still being able to work together.
Mm.
Uematsu states that his music has been inspired by the music of pop star idols such as Elton John and Paul McCartney, and that his favorite part about the soundtrack is the good reviews from listeners, which is friggin'
Wow.
wholesome as.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Nakano set out to create music with a vibrant and dynamic feel that tied together his years of experience with game music, while Hamazu tried to use the soundtrack to bring video game music to greater heights. The track to Zanarkand, is that how you pronounce that?
Zanarkand. Yeah.
Zanarkand, okay.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. Was originally written by Uematsu even before the development of Final Fantasy X for the recital of a flutist friend named Sio. Uematsu eventually decided the track was too gloomy and kept it for later use. While development of Final Fantasy X started, he decided to use the track for the game, and I found a very, very lovely live orchestral
I listened
version.
to it. Yeah, that was stunning. I went to the Final Fantasy Distant Worlds concert
Yeah?
back in
I want to do that. I want to do one of those.
it's life-changing. I swear, like I went, what year was it? 2017 in February. So at the time, Final Fantasy 15 had just been released. And I was so shaky with excitement.
Yeah.
Because my partner Jonathan took me, and he was also really excited. He hadn't played many Final Fantasies at the time. I remember he did play 15 and really enjoyed it. And I think to Zanarkand was the 10th track song that was performed, and I lost it.
It's so good.
I was so emotional, and my hands were sweaty, and he whispered in it. He's like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need to go outside?" I'm like, "I'm fine."
Shush.
Yeah, I just stop talking. And that was so beautiful. And although one thing that I wish is that I had played more Final Fantasies back then. At that time I hadn't finished 6, 7, 9, 12 even. I played a bit of I knew a lot of the music from 12, but I feel like if I had gone like recently, I would have definitely appreciated the other tracks from other Final Fantasies more. And I think what like the cool thing was they had a big screen at the back that showed like cutscenes of the game.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and at the end, at the end they formed One Winged Angel,
Great
Sephiroth,
song. Great song.
and the theater went red, like
Oh,
dark red
wow.
lights. Yeah, and then they got the audience to say Sephiroth each time, and oh my god, it was so amazing. It's one. Was probably one of the best, like the best performance that I'd ever seen in my entire life.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah, I think they came back to Australia. I want to say just before COVID hit, or maybe they were planning to. Because not long before 2020, Kingdom Hearts Orchestra was going around. I think even Legend of Zelda. That
Yeah,
might have been in
that's the one
Melbourne.
I would really love to go see Ocarina of Time, because I know they do that every now and
Yeah.
again, but mostly it's in Melbourne, so
Yeah.
I'll have to
I
make the
thought
trip one
so.
day.
Yeah, it was even though with Zelda, I've only played and finished Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild, but the Zelda music, phenomenal. It's that even makes music makes me emotional a lot of the time.
Oh, same.
Yeah, and that's when you know it really hits you, and it's so good and it means something. And like even though like Tizanican, it does have that sad, feel to it, but also I feel like, there is sadness, there's a lot of love as well, because if when you know the story of Yuna and Titus, and not just Yuna and Titus, but the whole crew that you know travel with, because they're also like family. They become family to those two characters, and that really hits hard for me.
Oh,
Yeah, that's when the tears start rolling. I'm like, okay, I need a moment.
100%. Yeah. Well, like, I know, like, I'm not gonna say music is underappreciated, but it's not something that gets talked about in video games. I think
Yeah.
it needs to be talked about in video games more often, because you know, a good soundtrack is a soundtrack that I guess you don't notice too much, but it's like it just sets the mood right and everything. Like, imagine, okay, you're sitting there, Titus and Yuna are in that water, and they're like they're staring at each other's eyes, and then that happens. How mood breaking would that be?
I know. Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna try and use that sound every week, because I just need to now.
That's awesome. But yeah, I completely, I get where you're coming from. It's so true, because it really does set the mood.
Yeah, we
And
need music.
yeah, it's funny because I think most of us nerds just listen to video game soundtracks. Like that's the music that I listen to the most, I think. Video game soundtracks for a lot, not just Final Fantasy, but I do enjoy like indie games as well. And like with for example, like Abzu, Journey, Gris,
Yes,
their soundtracks, oh my goodness, like
just
really,
epic.
yeah, just unbelievable. And like if those games had a concert, I'd be there 100%. And it's just it really stays with you. Like with I think with music, if I could hear Tizanican for the very first time now as an adult, it would definitely hit me a lot harder, I think.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, versus to when, I was a little 14-year-old.
But then, like,
Um
the music you hear, like, say, because we played these games as children, I'm just going
Yeah.
to use something like Ocarina of Time as an example because I
Yeah.
played a crap ton of that game when I was growing up.
Mm.
If I hear
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm taken back instantly to
Yeah,
being a kid,
right?
and it's like a different feeling, but it's an equally as good feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely insane. And feelings that, I really appreciate because it helps you escape from, the harsh
Life,
world that we live in. Yeah.
adulthood, bills.
Yeah, bills and just adult crap that we have to deal with every
Remember,
day.
remember growing up. Remember growing up and being like, man, I can't wait till I'm an adult. Nope.
Ew. I always just like, oh, like back in high school, I'm like, I don't want to, do one sheet of homework. I'm like, seriously, that is
Yeah.
easy.
Oh, to go back though. Oh my god,
I know.
it's so
Those
good.
are the
There's
days.
at work, one of the drivers, young kids is doing like kind of like work experience at our work with
Oh
like
yeah.
logistics and stuff.
Mm.
And she is in grade 12. So I think
Oh
she's
wow.
like 16.
Mm.
And she was talking to someone and she's like, man, I wish I was just like 1 year older so I could go for my forklift license. I'm like, no, don't wish that. Stay as young as you can.
Enjoy it while you still have
Oh, but
time.
us as kids, we never listened either. Like when adults were like,
Oh yeah.
stay young. We're like, no, I want to be an adult. And now we're adults. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's because like when you're at school, like you have to go to school,
Yeah.
but you don't want to go to school, and just like, when's this gonna be over? And then I remember when I left school, I was like, all right, cool, now what?
Yeah. Oh,
what
work?
what what
Oh,
do I
no.
do? I was like, oh, jobs and responsibilities, ew.
Oh, it just
But we
gets
gotta do
worse.
it.
I'm lucky I
I
don't have
know.
any kids. I think I'd be like, oh, this is really
I don't know how people do it. Like,
it's
how do you
hard. Like I
have?
don't know how my mum did it.
Yeah, how do you have a little mini me? Like,
And yeah,
and it's just that I don't know. Like, I know friends of mine that have 3 kids and they're
yeah, wow.
thriving, and I'm like, how? How do you find the time to
I
do
reckon
anything?
it's just you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, I think the thing is, not everyone is built for parenthood, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. Like you don't have to be a parent, you don't have to get married. It's just that thing that's society, that pressure
It's
that society.
very old school thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have a pet. Be a dog
Oh,
parent or a
dude.
cat parent.
We have one dog, Sandy. She's beautiful. We also have 2 guinea pigs, and
Oh.
yeah, they're called Frankie and Sully.
Oh, cute.
And yeah, every time I come home from work, I don't know if anyone
Mhm.
else has guinea pigs, but they squawk a little bit. So I come home
Oh,
from work,
yeah.
I open the door, and they must know the door sound, and like wee wee, and I'm like, yes, boys, I'm here. I'll give you some lettuce. God damn it.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
that,
they
that's
take up all my
sweet.
time. I don't need kids. Maybe one.
Nice.
Oh, actually, I wanted to have like in a perfect world have like 5 children, and then I could create like my own esports team and make millions like Tiger Woods and his dad or whatever. But
It's funny how like
Stacy stares at me like, no, that's not happening.
it's like you have plans in your head when you're younger of what's going to happen. Like the first thing I wanted to be was a vet for some reason. I don't know why. And then that changed to because I used to play the piano when I was younger too, and I wanted to be a piano teacher, and then photographer, and then all this like so many things like swirling around in my head and thinking, oh, I would really love to have twins one day. And the
Yeah,
thought of that now, like,
scary. Well,
yeah.
fun fact: my grandma had 2 sets of twins. She had my mum and
Wow.
her twin brother, and then I think like 6 years after that, she had my 2 uncles.
Oh, nice.
And then her husband at the time left because apparently I never met him. Apparently he was a
Uh-huh.
big dick. So he
Ah.
left and she raised 4 children all by herself, 2 jobs, 2
Wow.
sets of twins. I think mum
Ah,
had to grow up a little bit faster than what she would to look after everyone, but
yeah.
like
Yeah.
bless. I miss my grandma so much, but
What
Um,
a champion.
oh, such a strong woman, and
Yeah, that's insane. Like I get like I admire and look up to people like that deal with so much because,
they just
most of the
have
time they
to.
don't have a
Yeah,
choice. Yeah, they don't have a choice. And think of how a lot of people are lucky when they do have a choice, you know? And there's just so many things that we shouldn't take for granted.
oh,
It's
one
easy
hundred
to.
percent. Yep.
It's easy. You do fall into that, but sometimes you just need to take a step back and just realize what we have and be grateful for it too.
You heard it here first, guys. Be grateful. Just like it.
Yes.
Think about it for a little bit. Like, is this thing really worth getting upset over?
Exactly. Take a moment. If you're angry, the thing is, if I get really frustrated, I write my feelings down.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's like a ripped up piece of old paper or my notebook or anything. Once I have those thoughts, it's like, all right, pen, paper, write it down, and then take a few deep breaths. And I read over it. I'm like, well, that was stupid. Why did I get upset over that?
Yeah.
Because there was another streamer. He said the same thing. Is because people were talking about anxiety, and he's like, all right, you know what I do? If I get really anxious, write down my thoughts, look at it. It's like, well, that's crap. That shit.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do to make myself better and things like that? And it's just and it works. Like when you write things down and then read it for a few times, you're like,
Hmm.
wow, okay, this is a bit silly to be upset about. But
Yeah.
it's okay to feel that way. Um, one thing that can be very what's the word? Damaging to your mental health is to dwell on things.
Oh,
And
100%.
I used to do that a lot. And now I'm just like, all right, have your moment. It's okay to feel, but work on, repairing your and building yourself back up again. That's just really important.
Well, I think
Like,
I think I'm lucky where I can do that whole process in my own head. Where like
oh
I'll
wow.
like something will upset me, or I'll get angry or annoyed or whatever, and
Mm.
I can just do it in my head. I'm like, bring. I'm like, I'm all good.
Oh, that's really
So I'm
good.
I'm
That's
lucky in that way.
lucky. Yeah.
Plus, I have no soul,
This
so it's all good.
yeah, exactly. Different things work for different
Speaking of
people.
no souls, a HD remaster of the game was first announced on September 13th, 2011, and would be released on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita in celebration of the game's 10-year anniversary. On March 19th, 2003, it was confirmed that the PlayStation 3 version would include its sequel X2, and that it would be also remastered in HD. They would go on to go full Skyrim and release the X and X2 remaster on PlayStation 4, Steam, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, anything with a screen. Lainey, in your opinion, what's the best way to play this game in 2021?
Well, at the moment, hmm, it's a toss up between Steam and the Switch, but I think I'm gonna go with the Switch because um of the handheld system. It's
Yep.
easy just to, take it around, sit on the couch, do whatever. And the options to turn down the music, either the background music or the sound effects, just in case, like, you're grinding and you put other music on and all that kind of thing. Also, the reason why I do think that the Steam version is really good is they do have the speed up option. You can speed it up times two, you can speed it up times four, and that also makes grinding a lot less tedious if you are going down that road.
Yep.
Um, but when I don't know if they fixed it on Steam. The last time I played it on Steam was end of 2018, I want to say. There were times where you'd get to a CGI cutscene and the whole screen will go green.
Yeah.
The whole yeah, you could hear like, the dialogue and the music, but it just went green. And the only way to get rid of it is to restart. And that's you
Yeah,
don't
no
want
one
to
wants
have
to
to
do
do
that.
that. Yeah, and it's a common thing I find with ports like that go on Steam. I know that Final Fantasy 13 and 13.2 can be very buggy and crash a lot. Um, but yeah, I think now that I have experienced Final Fantasy 10 on the Switch, it's really really.
Switch is
And
fantastic.
yeah, there's a little feature if you play handheld, a little notification pop up, and you can use your magic to heal your party instantly just by like tapping on the screen.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and with the PlayStation 4 have that, or Xbox have that. But even so, like the games on the PlayStation and Xbox, they're good, but I think I'm leaning towards Steam if anyone is interested in getting Final Fantasy X, which I highly recommend. And you
Yes.
have the Switch, it's on there and it's great.
Yeah, I love my Switch. It's just
Yeah,
such a good console.
it's one of my favorites at the moment. It's very, it's small and take up too much room like
It's
chunky
simple.
Xboxes do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
simple,
simple.
sleek,
And
nice.
Nintendo just makes some of the best and most polished games. Like, when you get a
Mm,
Nintendo game, it's not going to be a mess. Like, you're going to get a good game.
yeah,
Like,
I
it's not going to be
agree.
buggy or anything like that. Well, most of the time anyway.
For the most part, they are smooth. They run.
I love them. Um, so Square expected the game to sell at least 2 million copies worldwide, owing to the reduced PlayStation 2's fan base, making it smaller than the last three release titles. At that time, PlayStation 2 was released in the year 2000, so only a year before. But went on to become the best-selling console of all time with over 155 million units sold.
Whew,
Unbelievable,
heck,
PlayStation 2. However,
nice.
within 4 days of its release in Japan, the game had sold over 1.4 million copies just in pre-orders, which set a record for the fastest selling console RPG. Final Fantasy X became the first PlayStation 2 game to reach 2 million and 4 million copies sold. In October 2007, the game was listed as the 8th best-selling game for the PlayStation 2. And Final Fantasy X sold over 2.26 million copies in Japan alone in 2001 and sold
Wow.
6.6 million copies worldwide by January 2004. By July 2006, it had sold 2.3 million copies and earned $95 million in US monies, which is about 120 USD in today's money.
Eesh.
As of March 2013, the game had shipped over 8.5 million copies worldwide on PS2, and the fifth best-selling game on the PS2, being beaten by GTA Vice City, Gran Turismo 3 and 4, and GTA San Andreas being the best-selling PS2 game.
Wow.
I mean, no surprise with those GTA games being up there. Gran Turismo was pretty big on the PlayStation 2, but to be the fifth best-selling game on the PS2 is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
it did so well for its time.
oh,
Uh, oh my god.
saying you're being a PS2 player, do you have
Mhm.
many memories with like other games on that console?
Yeah, speaking of Gran Turismo 3 and 4,
Yeah.
three more than 4, I'd say. Well, when for my 11th birthday, um my dad was like, "All right, you're getting a PlayStation 2." And
Yay.
I knew from the look on his face, was like, "You want it for yourself, don't you?" I was like, I know you want to play it because he saw Gran Turismo 3,
Yep.
and he's not a huge car person, but he likes cars. And we got it, and we were absolutely blown away by the graphics of Gran Turismo 3. They
Oh,
still look sharp.
they always put like Gran Turismo always pushes graphics.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the like I remember I randomly thought looking at like, gameplay of Gran Turismo 3 um on YouTube. I'm like, holy crap, this it's still so good. And I remember that came with the PlayStation 2 and also the demo discs.
Yep.
um and I didn't realize back then that there were so many different demo discs. I had this thing in my head that they were all the same, or maybe like one or two differences. And when I played the demo disc, I saw the SSX snowboarding game.
Yes. Yep.
Fell in love with it, even though the demo lasted a minute and a half. Doesn't matter.
It was one of
um,
those ones where you just play the one level over and over again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was this particular race you could only be with I think the character's name is Mac. He's like the number one in SSX, in the SSX unit. And you had to race down this track, but I always tried really hard to go as fast as I could to try and get further than what the time
Yeah.
allowed me to go. And eventually, like, I got it as a gift, the full game, and was absolutely obsessed with it. And then SSX Tricky, SSX 3 on tour, um those ones I still have. I still have the originals. And also I really loved Jack and Daxter, Rayman Revolution, Kingdom Hearts, obviously. And there was a game there was a game, I don't know if you know Dog's Life. Have you heard of that one?
Was that a
It-
movie?
no, it's a very it looks terrible the graphic wise. But it's like basically you're a dog, name's Jake, your girlfriend gets dog napped and you gotta go rescue her.
Oh no.
Yeah, and you do like a lot of mini games and stuff, but it was so bad but so fun.
Yep.
That I played for hours and hours. But I think, like, outside of Final Fantasy, I really, yeah, the SSX snowboarding series for sure. And I really loved Rayman and how it used to be. Now it's, from what I've seen, it's like all 2D.
Yeah, it's more like 2D platformer.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, I think I played a little bit of it, but it just makes me miss it was Rayman Revolution 2 that I got. And with Jack and Daxter, I only played the first one. I haven't played the other two. I think they're quite. I think it's the third one that's really hard. Apparently, what I've heard. But yeah, Jack and Daxter was a good time. Oh, I need to revisit that one too. So many games
So many games
back
all
in the
time.
day. Yeah, and it's just
I
so
played
good.
I played a lot of PS2 games, but the one I just want to reminisce about is the Need for Speed Underground series.
Oh, I never played that.
That was just absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure it came around the same time like Fast and Furious sort of came out, and
Yeah.
like you do up your cars and you have like neon lights, and it was so good. Like Need for Speed Underground, and
Yeah.
the soundtrack was really good. Um,
Nice.
what else did I play? Yeah, I played the GTA's as well. Like I played San Andreas till my fingers bled. Vice City was always a good fun time, but
Mm.
yeah, my memory is pretty shot. So yeah, Need for Speed Underground. Oh, absolutely love that game.
Mm.
Um,
Awesome.
so Final Fantasy X is currently sitting on a 92 on Metacritic and was well received by most publications. Not only did the critics and fans respond positively to the changes they made, but now they came to expect them with future games in the series. The use of
Mm.
voice actors, 3D mapping, and the more realistic characters became a staple in future releases. Unused ideas for this game were later implemented into future games to great success. Creators also learned from their mistakes from this game as well. Going forward, there were no more unnamed lead characters, as you said before,
Yeah.
and their names were always included in the spoken dialogue. Changes appeared through the series beyond 10 and 10.2 and were included in games 11 through to the latest
Mhm.
Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy X truly set the standard for the franchise after its release and future games down the line.
That's it.
So,
Wow.
this community, the Final Fantasy community is absolutely huge, and the cosplay community, especially for Final Fantasy, is pretty huge. Obviously, your Yuna cosplay is actually perfect.
Thank
So
you.
what got you into cosplay? Was it Yuna, or was it like another franchise or character?
Well, the first character that I ever cosplayed of was actually Snow White.
I remember seeing you put up a picture about that of
Yeah,
that
Snow White. That was, oh gosh, 5 years ago now.
many
um,
moons.
yeah, and because as a little girl, Snow White was my princess, and then my mum bought me like a Snow White dress, and I would run around in it forever.
Yeah.
I didn't never wanted to change. Um, and then there was a time where I was just doing like photo shoots for fun, like in evening wear and like kind of glamour stuff. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should do like a cosplay of something. And I just immediately thought of Snow White. And that was a lot of fun. And I think I still have that dress somewhere. But other than Yuna, I did cosplay as Velma for Halloween last year.
I did see that one. Yes, it was very, very good.
That's the most
Like you have a great haircut for these characters.
Because last year I did cut like most of my hair off because it was so damaged and there's only so much you can do
Yeah.
to repair. I'm like, you know what, just chop everything off. And yeah, Velma was a lot of fun because I already need glasses. The hair
Yeah.
was same, and especially just like that sweater and the skirt, orange socks and red shoes. Very, very comfortable. Yuna Yuna's cosplay, she has a lot of layers and it can get a little bit uncomfortable at first, but I'm kind of really used to it now.
Yep.
And I was a little bit worried of doing the cosplay streams in summer.
Oh yes, with wig,
yeah,
like especially if you wear a wig or something like that.
yeah, because even though like all my hair's pinned back and stuff, but you're adding like another layer of hair on, I'm just like, oh god. And I was worried a bit, but in terms of like summer, we've been very lucky this year,
Not too bad.
especially here in New South Wales. A lot of rain that we very much need, and I'm thinking, because I did the whole story of Final Fantasy X in my Yuna cosplay, I am going to look for a Renoa cosplay from Final Fantasy VIII because after 10-2, I am going to be trying Final Fantasy VIII, and I know it's not the most loved Final Fantasy, but I'm just curious to see what it's about and why people like it, and will I agree in my
Yeah.
own personal.
I could definitely see you pulling off that cosplay. I'm just looking at pictures now.
Like with Renoa, it's quite simple, and I feel like it will be comfy. And with her hair,
it's almost like a cape.
yeah, it's a really nice color as well, and her hair is quite long, but I might just get a wig for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And if I really don't like it, I'll just straighten my hair.
Yeah.
Like, really straighten it, and then that'll be.
Oh man.
But I'm looking forward to
anyone with a cape gets my approval. Love capes.
Yeah.
Have you ever like cosplayed like at conventions or anything, or is it just a personal thing?
At the moment, just a personal thing, really. I haven't actually been to a convention before. But I want to one day when the pandemic
Yeah, when it all settles down.
settles. Because I think that'll be a lot of fun. Because when I went to the Final Fantasy Worlds concert, there were cosplays everywhere.
Of course.
I saw 3 Yunas, 2 Lightnings, 10 Clouds.
A lot of clouds always.
Yeah, and a few like from the first Final Fantasy, like a white mage and I think Auron. I saw 1 Auron, which I was very happy about. And like, and he's got a lot. Like, there's a lot of layers to his that's a winter cosplay for sure.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, I was very happy, and I didn't think that people would. It just didn't cross my mind, and yeah, seeing them like so hyped and so excited for the concert was wonderful, and seeing like Abu Nomatsu, I can never say his name, but seeing him on stage, like tears instantly.
Yeah.
I was like, you're the reason for like so many things in the series, and yeah, it's just absolutely insane. And it was really nice to see Final Fantasy 15, like the music from 15 being performed for the first time, because the game had been out for very long. And I remember there were tracks from 14 as well, but I hadn't even played 14 at that stage. So I think like there are videos of because they travel around the world, and I'm pretty sure there were like videos on YouTube concert just have that on in the background if I'm ever having a down day.
Oh, it's a great. I was listening to the soundtrack while I was writing the notes down, and yeah, one of my
Mm.
favorite tracks was one that stood out. One of like the hardest was Otherworld, which is
Oh,
it's really like one of
yeah,
those really heavy tracks.
yeah.
I was listening, it was like all orchestral and stuff, and then this thing bops in. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm
I
down with that.
see which.
So yeah, I'm a I love heavy music as well and all that stuff. So it's sort of like, oh, I'm gonna stop writing, just listen.
Yeah. Like
That's what.
even though there's calming music in Final Fantasy, big boss battle themes and the really intense themes that you can just bop to, really.
Yeah,
even even themes of villains that you really don't like, it's like, oh, but their theme is so catchy. It's just
yeah,
like there's a particular boss theme in Final Fantasy X where a villain keeps coming back, and it comes back for the last time, and you hear his proper theme is like, okay, I'm angry dancing. I don't really want to fight you again, but
yeah.
I'm just like, oh, why is your theme so catchy?
Damn you, I hate you, but goddamn this bops.
Yeah, it's and I listen to that one too, like a lot when I just need a pick me up,
Yeah.
even though I'm like, I hate this guy, but it's really good. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's gonna take us to the story, and I did send you a message during the week going, God damn,
A lot.
this story's full on.
Like sometimes I need to remind myself, oh, because um one thing that is mistaken with the story is that there's actually no time travel in Final Fantasy X.
Yes.
Um and the game makes you believe that there is, in a way. It kind of, because he's like, because Tidus will stand there and be like, 1,000, I've gone 1,000 years into the future. Wait, what? Um,
Like a big
and that's
plot twist.
yeah, and it's actually not a thing, which it took me a while to realize. But yeah, the story, there's so much, and it's not just like the story of Spira, it's the story of every, like all of the characters in your party. They all have their own backstory as well, and it's just like, there's so much.
It's pretty full on. So
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to give you a generalized idea of how the
Yes.
story begins and all that, because if I was to go through the whole story, this would be definitely a 2-part series. Um, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, it starts off with Tidus. He stands near the ruins of an ancient city, waiting out while his companions take a rest. He narrates the
Mhm.
story from the beginning until the present event. So the story of Final Fantasy X is told by Tidus, a sports star and son of the famous Blitzball hero Jecht. I
Mhm.
hope I'm saying that right.
That's it.
Who live in a futuristic metropolis called Zanarkand. So Blitzball, just quickly, very divisive. Did you like Blitzball at all, or was it like something
Oh
you would do without?
God, ugh. it. The thing is, when you have to play Blitzball in the story to get past, that particular part, the match is so unfair. Like,
Yeah,
the other team, I think, are about 3 levels above you, and it's just, honestly, it's luck. Like, I've played that tournament so many times, and I think I won twice by luck.
oh
I
wow.
think the game was just being nice to me. And and the the goalkeeper that you have is just crap. He's useless.
Just
And
stands there looking at the sun or something.
he's just like, the goal, like the ball will go into the goal and he's still reaching for it, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
mate,
god.
it's already there. Just don't even bother.
Just go on the
um
bench, mate. You're
yeah,
finished.
exactly. But now that I'm doing, side content, and for one celestial weapon, I have to do blitzball,
Ah,
and I
yuck.
did it again, and I won twice. But now
Nice.
I get why, because some people have told me I play Final Fantasy X just for blitzball, and I'm like, why?
Oh, true.
Yeah, and but I don't dislike it as much as I used to, now that, I've experienced the side content.
Yep.
There's one team that is very, very tough, but I think you can I think I heard people saying that they just reset the game because the team is randomly picked. So when people get I think it's the Albed team that's the toughest. Um, they get them. They're like, all right, I'm resetting the game and see what team I have after.
Yeah, let's take another
So there's
chance.
so there's that. So I want to learn the rules properly because I don't really know what I'm doing. Because of how hard the story tournament is. Like, oh, I don't know, I don't. But yeah, I will get it one day.
Do you reckon they could turn Blitzball into like an actual video game these days, but like not turn based, like kind of like a competitive multiplayer? Would it work?
It could be possible. I know that some fans would love that idea.
Yeah.
Um, and apparently, I don't know if it's a rumor or if people just want this, but wanting Blitzball in Final Fantasy 14 as a thing,
Yeah.
'cause there's so much involved with that game, and they have like mini games and stuff everywhere. You can put that in there, um, or for it to make some sort of comeback, but make it better.
Yeah.
I think,
Not so tedious and hard.
yeah, that'll be nice.
So during a Blitzball match, Tidus gets swept up into another world 1,000 years in the future, but not really, and joins summoner Yuna and her friends on her journey to save the world of Spira from a rampaging monster known as Sin. Making their way towards the mythical Zanarkand while running into the corrupt undercurrent of Spira society, Tidus holds on to the hope he'll one day find his way back home, which kind of reminds me of Sliders, if anyone remembers that TV show back in the day. So not including Yuna, who would be your favorite character?
Question. I would say Orin.
Orin?
Definitely Orin. He's a number one too. He is someone that just shows so much loyalty, and he's like the protector, you know. And he's more than just a guardian, I feel, to Yuna. And he also was a guardian to her father when her father went through the same journey. And I feel that, he sees Yuna as family, like maybe sees her as her niece or looks to her like a niece.
Yeah.
And he wants the party to find out the truth at the end because things get very heavy.
Yeah.
And also I guess would kind of see Tidus as like a nephew in a way because he also guides him and protect him, and because he also went on that journey with his father, Tidus's father. Well, so seeing those two, and seeing you and Tidus, come together, get to know each other, go and like experience the journey, is very moving to him, and he has so much loyalty and definitely doesn't sugarcoat things, which I appreciate.
He looks
Um,
like the kind of dude that wouldn't sugarcoat anything. He looks like a
yeah,
badass.
he says things the way that they are, and if you're doing the wrong thing, he'll just tell it to you straight, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty of Warren, and as you said, yeah, he's just a
Oh, I was just looking at his outfit and his
yeah.
sword. Oh, his
He,
sword looks so good.
he knows what's what.
Oh,
For
that's so
sure.
cool. So I'm just gonna go over a few things in the story that sort of stood out to me, and one of them you sort of talked about was the truth of sin.
Hmm.
So I've got something written down here. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
so Tidus finds out the truth about himself,
Hmm.
being an entity of a dream Zanarkand. Tidus, Sin, and his father Jecht are simply a product of the people of Zanarkand's faith, which
Hmm.
faith is kind of like is it like spirits?
Yeah, yeah, in a way, in a way.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
spirits used to power this dreamlike world.
yeah, this dream, the dream Zanarkand.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
not real.
yeah, it's not real,
Um,
unfortunately.
yeah. So Tidus and Co are simply summoned beings and will disappear if the faiths stop dreaming. The faith cannot stop, however, due to Yu Yevon, the great
Mm-hmm.
leader of Zanarkand, now a mindless entity that continues the summoning of sin using the power of Zanarkand's faith.
Yeah, it's like a
Um,
big.
yeah, so absolute mind that would have been mind blowing, right?
Yeah, that like that happens later on in the game, but still imagine getting told you're just a dream.
It would
You don't
hurt.
like but hang on. What? Like it's just I would probably just collapse honestly if I was him. Like I feel like in the game he was kind of like, "Wait, what?" And like he did faint seeing a vision, but he gets back up and he's like, "All right, let's go, guys." Like
Yeah, he's just
nothing,
like, yeah, whatever.
nothing
Okay, I have a
happened.
dream.
It's all good. And then Yuna's like, "What happened?" "Oh no, we're fine. Let's keep going."
Yeah.
Because I guess I mean, he would have needed that time to process that information. And with Yu Yevon as well, he's using sin as an armor. Um, and we need to get the final Aeon at the end of our pilgrimage to be able to pierce that armor. And yeah, that's a whole other part in the story that's just, go on and on and on about. But it's yeah, learning about this for the first time, it can get pretty confusing. And it's one of those games where playing it a second time and a third time, you have to understand what's going on.
Oh
Because
yeah.
there are some things in the story where you're just like, wait, why is everyone laughing? Why why is this wait, why do they look concerned all of a sudden? And yeah, just these moments of before you learn the truth of everything. Oh wait, now I get it. Now I understand why they're acting that way. And I think that's really good because um I think a game that, you know, makes you crave that feeling like of wanting to play it again, I think is really, really good. There's a very few games that I'm just like, oh, I don't really again. But experiencing it for, more than once is really rewarding, I feel.
Yeah, it just shows you like just the writing of this game and just the
Yeah,
layering. Like if a game
yeah,
has good layers, that you'll want to play it again and obviously see things you missed or see expressions that might make sense later in the game that you maybe forgot while playing and stuff like that. It's very I find it very rare to find games like that.
yeah,
Because it's not an easy thing. Not an easy thing to create layers in a video game for sure.
yeah, exactly, for sure.
So you Yevon, probably the only other thing that kind of interested me.
Mhm.
Um, quickly, was he like while you're playing? Was he sort of you thought he was the villain?
No,
No.
no, because you don't really know, you don't find out about him much later,
Yep.
really.
Yep.
Um, like all this time you think, okay, Sin's it. We have to go after Sin. Sin
He's the
is
big
the
bad.
yeah, he's the big bad wolf, right? Um, and then, Yu Yevon is mentioned later and it's, whoa, hang on, there's somebody else? Like, who is this person? And it just opens up a whole new can of worms
Yeah.
to try and figure out. And that yeah, it kind of throws the player off a little bit in terms of like, I was very confused. I was like, well, who do we go after? Um, and it was still Sin, but there was just a little bit more. There's just we need to find this Yevon, and we need to, because he's the one that is stopped because he's creating Sin. He's creating that armor.
Yes.
And yeah, that was like mind blowing at the time. For
I'll
sure.
bet.
Yeah.
Did it hit you as hard playing it when you were younger, or did you not sort of like realize until you played it later in life?
I think probably a bit later in life.
Yeah.
When, being so young, and experiencing, a really heavy story based RPG, JRPG for the first time, um, it kind of like because I was confused and I didn't really understand, and then um playing it again later and reading things and watching things on YouTube, I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I understand, and I was like, wow, okay, this is really intense, and like so much thought and effort and love went into the story. It like this is why I admire storytellers so much that come up with these scenarios and characters, and because it's a story that I will always hold dear to me. Not just because I think the story is amazing, but also for personal reasons too. And I honestly think that, storytellers are some of the most creative people out there. And
Oh, I am jealous of people who can write.
oh, me too.
I would
It's like,
love
how
I
do
would
you come
love to
up
be able to write.
with this?
I
I
mean,
know.
it's never too late to learn, but I'm big dumb, so I'm not even gonna try.
Aw.
I'd rather maybe I'll learn how to draw. Maybe that's my claim to fame.
Just a
So you've gone over a few of your favorite story moments, but is there like one story moment or story beat that just is your absolute favorite in this game?
mm. I'm going to say first one that came in my head, and I'm just yes. There's a part in the story, it's quite early on in the game, where we meet Yuna. We leave with her and the rest of the party and take the boat to Kilika after Besaid, which is the next area where, because we have to go to each temple in each area of Spira. And Kilika is the second temple, but before the boat reaches there, Sin attacks the village. And, there are a lot of deaths, and it's just absolutely heartbreaking. It's all destroyed. And then Yuna performs the sending. She performs the sending, and that basically means that the souls of the dead reach the far plane, which is like heaven, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Um, and because if no summoner performs the sending, the dead become fiends. And that's when we learn, okay, so the fiends that you come across in the random battles are the dead that have not reached the far plane, and they're just like walking around.
Ah,
Um,
okay,
yeah, which I was like, whoa, okay, another mind blown. um,
yep.
so, and that scene where Yuna, she's walking on water, and because the coffins, or their version of the bodies that are wrapped up are underneath the water and are all displayed like beautifully with flowers and everything. It's a beautiful ceremony, and she starts her sending dance and starts spinning around, and the water just lifts her up, and it's a beautiful sunsets all pink and orange, and you got um Himari and Lulu looking on. They've seen this all before, but Tidus is just absolutely taken away by this. And he actually does not like it. Because it is sad, because at the end he says, it was strange and horrifying, I never again. But, no one wants to see their their loved ones die and
Yeah.
have to be, sent off. Um but it was just absolute, like the scenery itself was absolutely beautiful, and the music. That's definitely one of my favorite moments, and you got to see Yuna um do, like, I guess her first role as a summoner, because before then, like, she does her thing at the temple, and then she comes out and says, I'm a summoner, I did it. And yeah, she's like, I did it, woo. And with the ceremony in Kilika, that's like, wow, so what she can do. And it was absolutely crazy. That's probably one of the scenes in Final Fantasy X that I've seen the most out of everything. And I've seen the rest a lot too.
So I'm watching a video of it now while you're talking about it, and it's fantastic listening to you talk while I'm actually watching it. And my God, it does look beautiful. The
Yeah,
colors.
gorgeous. Absolutely. And that was the scene that was played when in the Distant Worlds concert, when they performed to Zanarkand. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so you're performing a song that's making me cry, and you're putting up my favorite scene in the entire game. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
I was like, well done. You've just completely, yeah, I'm
uh,
done.
you've ruined me. Yeah, I'll put that video in the show notes as well. Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely check
absolutely
that out.
gorgeous.
Oh, but man, Final Fantasy X, what an absolute triumph of a game, and I would definitely love to eventually play through it when I get a chance. I know it's quite long, and
Mm.
there's a lot of games out there, but if you have been on the fence, definitely go play
Oh,
it. Or if you haven't played it in a while, go play it again.
yeah, definitely. If you're thinking about it and have you know, played this before, it's a beautiful story. I mean, yes, it's an old game and voice acting can be a little bit off, but I mean, that doesn't matter. Everything else ties together and it's absolutely gorgeous. I love this game. It means so much to me and got me through a lot. A lot of my troubling times as a new teen.
Yep.
And I'm extremely grateful for it. It helped.
Oh, that's so awesome. Um, with that with that absolutely beautiful moment, it's gonna take us into question time. Big
Woo!
question time. So my question for you today is actually two parts here. So with Final Fantasy 16 being
Mhm.
announced, no dates yet, but you know the idea of a new Final Fantasy has been announced. One,
Mhm.
will you play it? And two, what would you want to see from future Final Fantasy games?
So will I play it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, I've seen the trailer a couple of times. And when I first saw it, like the first couple of scenes, I was like, hang on, this looks very Final Fantasy teenish. I thought maybe it was a new expansion. Because I was not expecting Final Fantasy 16 to be announced for quite a while. And I was just like, chilling out. I was like, okay, cool. It's like fine. All right, sweet. And then I realized that it wasn't. I was like, hold up. Who are these new characters? Why
Yeah.
so dark and gory? And that I'm very intrigued with that. I'm actually, you know, going into the like this ties in with the second question. One of the things I would love to see for future Final Fantasy games is more like darker stories. Not too much gore, but Final Fantasy is a series that is not never gory. You see
Yeah.
battles and stuff, and you don't see anything like no blood splatter everywhere. Not that it's a nice thing to see, but
Yeah.
it does like make things more intense for sure. And that's what really got me. I'm like, man, this looks dark. And also the combat. It was I know a lot of people have said the same thing or thought the same thing of like it being Dark Soulsy. Like it's like the combat and everything. It's quite different. And I'm looking forward to diving into that too. So another thing, I know the main protagonist, his name is Clive, but I'm also trying not to research too many things of Final Fantasy 16 because I do want to have that, element of surprise, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yep. I'm like
Um,
that too.
yeah, I try to be like, "Oh, I really want to research it, but no, just leave it."
Like
So,
I will watch trailers. Like
yeah.
I don't watch movie trailers, but game trailers I'll watch, and as soon as I know I'm gonna play it, I won't watch anything else.
Yeah, yeah. That's I understand that too. It's just like I can't if I keep like reading about it, looking up things, rumors, it's gonna drive me crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
um, but yeah, with the second question, in addition to that, um, I would mentioning this before with like in future Final Fantasy games, like little Easter eggs from previous Final Fantasy games, like maybe updated Blitzball, or like there was a card game in Final Fantasy VIII that everyone went crazy over called Triple Triad, which I have yet to experience. But and also, what would I know a lot of people would like this too, but to have the classic turn-based system brought back, but maybe being able to choose between the two. You might maybe some players just want real time, and maybe some players just want classic turn-based system.
Just have an option.
Yeah, have that option, and I think like with the Final Fantasy VII remake, that's what the majority of fans wanted, to have both. And I think there was a rumor going around that was the case, but it didn't happen. I wasn't upset about it. Like, I loved the combat, but to have that, back, because with Final Fantasy IX, they brought back, elements of Final Fantasy I, and that's one of the things that, the fans really loved and appreciated. And yeah, I guess, yeah, like as I said, like little Easter eggs and stuff. I think it would just be kind of heartwarming. It's like, oh, this character, maybe like, because I know in Final Fantasy 14, as I said, with like the outfits of different characters from in the past, maybe that's an option. You could go around walking as Cloud or Squall or whoever you want, and just to give the veteran players that nice nostalgic feeling while having the game be brand new and other new things added to it. But yeah, definitely those things, I think.
Really cool. 100%. As a new player, or as a player that doesn't really play Final Fantasy games, I honestly would not know what to add. But I'm looking at the trailer for 16, and one, it's very horror-ish in its setting and color scheme and everything, and it looks really good, and I love it. If I get a PS5 and there's nothing else out, maybe I'll jump in. But there's a comment on the video. It just says, "Need more chocobos."
We all need more chocobos, more Moogle, and more Shiva. Just Shiva.
Oh my god! Imagine that, just at the end of this like dark, brooding trailers, chocobo race or something.
That'll be it for me.
Oh, it's fantastic. So everyone, that's gonna bring us to the end. Final Fantasy X, as I said, what a triumph of a game, beautiful game. But Lainey, where can everyone find what you do online?
So I am a streamer. I stream on Twitch under Lainey Maree, and I'm on Twitter with my username being _Lainey Maree, because Lainey Maree's taken.
How dare they?
And Instagram is just, Lainey Maree. It's all Lainey Maree except for Twitter, which is the underscore of it.
I'll definitely have all those links in the show notes and descriptions wherever you're watching this.
Awesome.
You can also find me on Twitter at Wilbur Sprinkle. I also stream on twitch.tv/Wilbur Sprinkle, where I do play a lot of Sea of Thieves and add a little bit of variety. I'm trying to get through Amori, and I kind of want to jump into Hitman 3. So definitely come over and say hello. Also on youtube.com/Wilbur Sprinkle, where I do a few videos here and there. The podcast will be on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and all the major podcast players. And make sure you give us a lovely 5-star review, because it helps us with the silly little algorithm that defines all of our lives. But Lainey, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's been a pleasure.
It was awesome. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we'll have to come back and do Final Fantasy VII. And we'll
really take that one apart.
4-part series for sure. But thank you everyone for listening. We love you. I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.